oftentimes people use the expression struck gold, you struck gold on this or you struck gold on that. And really, when the term struck gold is used, it can apply to an individual or program because it means that something good has happened. Well, I'm so happy to tell you that Macon, Georgia struck gold when we in his services, Mr. Alex Morrison, because he has engaged in a lot of activities and programs that meaning gold to our community. There are so many things going on, so many good things. And he has been innovative enough and creative enough and knowledgeable enough to bring fruition all kinds of things. The amphitheater, downtown development, building on you name it, but we struck gold with him. So I'm just so happy to have, Alex Morrison, to come on. And as I said, it's so much going on. We ought to be proud of our community. We ought to be proud of the progress. And I'm not going to even enumerate the projects and the activity and the growth because that's his standard. Those are his gold nuggets that he can cash in either sooner or later, for some real dollars. But he has been phenomenal. The growth has been phenomenal. The mayor has been phenomenal in with the vision of moving our community forward and making a measurable difference for everybody. That's what's important. It's not just for one segment. It's not just for one group. The efforts are to grow the entire community. A rising tide raises the whole ship. So, Alex Morrison, take your time and just, if you want to say something else about yourself, you can, but I know how humble you are. But go ahead and just take your time and talk about all the projects and initiatives that are going on in our great city.
Well, thank you, Mr. Habersham. We're really excited to have this conversation and to talk about what's been happening in our community. Since the last time that we talked, we've had a lot of progress. A lot of that's been at the Macon Mall, which I've been deeply involved in. And the other major projects that we've been working on are all to grow our urban core with the Macon Action Plan. But to put a fine point on it, I serve as the executive director of the Urban Development Authority and as the director of planning and public spaces for Macon Bibb County here at the mayor's office. And we are looking at strategic initiatives that can bring true economic development to our community at the human level. How do we make our community a better place to live, a better place to have events, a better place to start a business, and really create that higher floor for our community? How do we make sure that that tide keeps rising? Which rounds out a lot of services that we have in our community, whether that's the job recruitment of the Industrial Authority or the entrepreneurial development Newtown does, or the visiting recruitment that Visit Macon does. We're at the level of how do we make sure the public sector is creating the type of environment that we need to continue the growth and make sure that that benefits people here in our community. And all that's been done through a lot of intentional planning. We are celebrating now 10 years of doing the Macon Action Plan, which has started as the plan for the urban core of Macon and is starting to grow out. So later this year, we're going to be unveiling what we call MAP XL, which is taking MAP to the next level and taking it to more neighborhoods, and then providing that as a blueprint for neighborhood development throughout our community, making sure that the revitalization of downtown is providing a model for development for neighborhoods outside of downtown, and that we're capturing that battery of downtown development to empower other neighborhoods for entrepreneurial growth and development, blight elimination, and increases in housing. The area that we have started working in a little bit more is the old Macon Mall in West Macon. The mall area is super important to our community for a lot of reasons. From the 70s through the early 2000s, Macon Mall was the main street of Macon. It was the center of commerce. It was the highest concentration of stores, highest concentration of jobs, and that has shifted now to where that's downtown again. So we have this cycle, right? Well, the thing is that Macon built a lot of infrastructure around that mall. It changed the way road patterns worked. It spurred a lot of development in the Bloomfield and Unionville neighborhoods. It is the anchor to the most densely populated zip code in Macon Bibb County. And when the mall started its decline due to even more sprawl in the late 2000s, its value started decreasing. And along with that, it was decreasing the property values of the commercial and residential properties around it. And when that happens, that creates a vicious circle where blight builds on itself, job losses incur, and next thing you know, you've lost a neighborhood. Well, we were able to step in and acquire the mall through a donation and create some sparks to bring people back to that neighborhood. And what that does is it creates a new higher floor for entrepreneurs who want to start a business in the area and help improve property values in the area. And when that happens, you're able to attract more people back to the area. And for me and for the mayor, most importantly, is people who have held on from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, who have stayed in that neighborhood, to see the equity go back into their homes so that their dream of creating generational wealth for their community is restored for them. And that's been hugely important in everything that we do in the neighborhood work, is that the people who have stayed in these neighborhoods have an opportunity to return generational wealth to their families, and that the local government is making sure that we're providing that opportunity for them without displacing them, so that they can have that home and transfer it to the next generation. They can have that equity that they built up over the course of their lives returned to them, and without them having to go into deeper debt, without them having to take unnecessary risk. And that's a huge part of why the mall project has been so important. And we're going to continue to work in that area. So it's not just an amphitheater or pickleball or government offices. You're going to see new residential housing. You're going to see more development in the area, and continuing to improve the public infrastructure around there. I know that's a long answer to your question, but I know that's a question that everyone gives me.
It's not too long. I mean, I just use the expression. I guess so people are going to get tired of it. But, I just use the expression on the other show. The proof is in the pudding. I'm just amazed. And then, you got to start somewhere. You got to start with a foundation, and then you got to expand out, to other areas. So with what has happened at that mall, hey, man, I drive by there in the daytime, the lot is full from people playing pickleball. And then, 2 nights ago, I drive by there at nighttime because y'all got 10,000 people at the amphitheater to a show. I mean, just to attract that many people to the neighborhood, and I'm sure that, everything becomes more valuable because people want to put businesses there, they want to live there, and then additionally, and I want you to discuss that just briefly, I'm sure, and I don't know whether any space is left, but, for those people, I guess if I didn't have this gray hair, I'd be talking about moving out there right now. But, I ain't headed in that direction, just being perfectly honest. But for some young, aspiring entrepreneurs, if they've got the resources, I know how to get the resources, and if the space is available, man, that's going to be a good place to be, if, in fact, you all still got space out there.
Yes, and there is plenty of space at the Macon Mall. While we have prioritized moving government offices in there to provide a baseline for, to provide a baseline for people to have people back in the mall on a daily basis, we are still going to offer spaces for retail development. And we encourage people to reach out to Whole Property Group, who is still the property manager of the mall. They're managing the property for us. But you've got to have a business plan. You've got to have funding, and you've got to be able to have that success. We're not giving away free space, but it is cheap. It's existent, and there's going to be a lot of people coming through there on a daily basis. And that's really one of the things, like the thing with downtown too, is you had to bring people back to the space first. Sorry. And then allow people, you had to bring people back to the space first and then have people start their businesses. Because if you start with trying to recruit businesses without having people coming to the area, they don't have customers. So you're being predatory at that point. You're saying, hey, come start a business in this wonderful location. We don't know if you'll have customers. Let's hope so. Like, you have to create that opportunity for people to come to the space. Then that provides the baseline for business success going forward. That's why we started with demand side plays of having human beings back in the space at the mall. We're going to try and grow new residents in the area. And then that will be that entrepreneurial support that's baked in. Having more people coming through the amphitheater will always help. People playing pickleball. Every one of those tournaments is a huge subsidy to people's property taxes here in Macon. And it provides new businesses at the mall a great start.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's a good place to kind of stop and take a break. This is a call to action, and we'll be right back.
Think Black Pages first. You better think
Black Pages.
When purchasing goods like beauty supplies, cell phones, clothing, and food, think Black Pages first. For services like cleaning, event planning, and healthcare, search, shop, support.
The Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages.
Community for attorneys, auto, barbers, books, catering, churches, DJs, insurance, venues, and more.
Over 1,600 African-American businesses listed.
Serving Baldwin, Bibb, Crawford, Houston, Jones, Monroe, Peach, Twiggs,
and
Wilkinson counties. When you spend money in your community, you are supporting the advancement of your community.
Our motto is,
have you hugged a black business today? Well, here's your chance with the new 2022-2023 edition
of the Macon, Middle Georgia Black Pages.
So think Black Pages first. Available in hard copy and
digital.
Get your copy today. Think Black Pages first.
We're back. You know, I mean, there's nothing is more fun than being able to bearer of good news. You know, too often we have to, you know, and you can't deny it, but, you know, whenever we can have the opportunity to present good news, particularly good news that's going to have a broad effect, you know, and affect a broad range of people and benefit something for years to come, then, you know, that's a good feeling. And the two Alexes today got good feelings about what's going on in Central Georgia. Those two Alexes are Alex Habersham, me, your host for A Call to Action, and Alex Morrison, him, you know, chairman of the Urban Development Authority. And that, you know, the title, frankly, I'm going to say this in front of him. I don't care what kind, you cannot come up with a title. It would take a whole page, you know, to really give him a title that encompasses everything that he does. So I'm going to just say Urban Development Authority because he does so much. So just go ahead and talk about the many initiatives and all the program projects that are going on and that's on the horizon for our great city. Alex?
Thank you, Alex. And so we talked about the mall, and that's been a major focus for the last couple of years. But we're also really excited about working in other neighborhoods. One of the hats that I wear is I am the convener of a group of organizations called the Reimagining the Civic Commons Initiative. And this is a group of about 25 different organizations who are working to improve public space in our community around the issues of value creation, socioeconomic mixing, sustainability, and civic engagement. The main focus that we've decided on as a group is to focus on bringing renewed vitality to the Pleasant Hill neighborhood and a connection for Pleasant Hill to itself and back to downtown. And our signature initiative that we've been working on is called the Pleasant Hill Pathway. We started within Pleasant Hill by creating new and improved bike lanes and pedestrian infrastructure. And our plan is to improve that over the next couple of years and connecting Pleasant Hill down Walnut Street all the way to Carolyn Creighton Park. And with that, having safe and comfortable pedestrian and cycling access to downtown, reconnecting Pleasant Hill to the job center there. But that's not all we're doing. We're not just a group of people doing a bike lane. We've also applied for federal funds to do a full urban design plan for Pleasant Hill that will be resident-led, so that the people of Pleasant Hill can tell the government what they would like to see their community look like, and to try and make it to where it has a similar feel to what it did before the interstate came through. That Reconnecting Communities grant program will allow us to engage with the neighborhood to come up with new plans for sidewalks, new housing, better lighting, better action, to have an anti-displacement strategy built in to the whole effort, so that we have a growth from within without having a lot of displacement or the negative impacts of gentrification in the neighborhood. That the RCC has been phenomenal in breaking down a lot of barriers that we've had between the residents and the government, between agencies. Same thing with, like we did with Macon Action Plan over the last 10 years, but really focus on making the improvements to Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill is a vital community for us. It is Macon's oldest predominantly Black neighborhood, founded by freedmen in 1879, and it has robust leadership with the likes of Arion Smith and Amanda Woodward, who are, and their whole committee, who have been at the table with us helping make plans. And we were really excited last week to get a huge step forward with the Pleasant Hill Initiative by being able to announce the construction of 64 new housing units, residential housing units in Pleasant Hill at the site of the former Progressive School, Macon Charter Academy. And those affordable housing units will be a spark to bring new residents to Pleasant Hill. And built into that development will be, for the first time since the interstate came through, new commercial property built in Pleasant Hill, so that the people of Pleasant Hill will have a place to launch their businesses, and have the Pleasant Hill Neighborhood Organization at the table with them, helping them grow. And then we also are retaining 2 buildings on that site where we're working with PHNO on their vision to possibly bring additional commercial space, a food co-op, and a gym and community center to Pleasant Hill, so that the neighborhood will have a gathering spot that they control. They are going to provide us with the plan for that, and we're going to be at the table with them to execute it. All of these things to show that by having engaged leadership who's willing to work across silos and sectors, you can create a really regenerative project that benefits people on the ground, that benefits residents, and helps communities come back in a way that isn't just somebody doing something to the neighborhood. It's growing that neighborhood from within, with the residents leading the charge. And we are really excited about that. The Macon Housing Authority and Infill Housing will take the lead on building those residential units. But Macon Bibb County has been at the table with them from day one, along with the leaders of Pleasant Hill, to make that happen. And when you take all these things together, right, you've got RCC that's improving linear parking, building bike lanes, Housing Authority adding housing. You've got the urban design plan. You have a return on the promise that's been made to the people of Pleasant Hill that's been left out so many times. And we're really excited to bring that to fruition.
Well, I'm even more excited, because see, I'm gonna date myself, Alex. But I remember when everything and everybody was in Pleasant Hill. All the teachers, the doctors, everybody lived in Pleasant Hill. You'd have a 4-bedroom brick home on the left-hand side and a shotgun house on the right-hand side. You'd have a principal, a school teacher, a doctor, a lawyer living in that brick house. But by the same token, you'd have just a regular citizen living, in that shotgun house. So, but that combination made a significant difference in the growth of the community. And the reason that's needed is because during that time, when you had all those professionals in the neighborhood, and they served as mentors and inspirations for the young people. So bring people back to the neighborhood, that's going to have all kind of direct and indirect and peripheral and supplemental advantages to what you're doing. So I applaud everybody that's connected with that. Well, let's wrap it up with the national park. Where are we with that?
Oh man, so we are very excited that the national park is really coming into the front view for our community. Bills have been dropped in Congress, both in the Senate and the House, and we really are thinking that this is the time that we're going to get that done. So the question, of course, is how does that benefit people in Macon? Well, I'm going to talk about that in two ways. One, the most obvious way is it just brings a lot of people here. And those people come, they spend money in our local businesses, they stay overnight in hotels, and they provide a new baseline of support for our entire community. And hopefully some of those become new residents, which will help us out as well. But when people from outside of our community come and they spend dollars in our community, that helps subsidize our property taxes. That helps us build new infrastructure in the form of SPLOST and OLOST. It helps us with public safety. It does a lot of things for our community. And then if they're spending the night here, it allows us to invest that hotel motel tax in some of our unique attractions, as well as support new jobs and development in our community. So it's phenomenal. The other way it helps Maconites is it means that Macon Bibb County has to step up and improve infrastructure around the national park. If we're gonna have 1 million more people coming in, we've got to have some new improved infrastructure. So it's going to help us spark a revitalization on the east side. The first area that we're working on is what has become Bicentennial Park along Clinton Street, right across from the Marriott Convention Center. There's a 11-acre tract that the Urban Development Authority has acquired over the last decade, and we're working with the Macon Bicentennial Commission to bring new artwork and new infrastructure to that area, to have a park outside the park that is for the residents in our community. We're also working with the Muskogee Nation to build a cultural center that will be a trailhead for that park. But Bicentennial Park is a gift back to the community from the Bicentennial Commission, which you co-chaired, and from the Urban Development Authority, to have signature art pieces in the community. We're also working on what we're calling East Bank, which will be a signature development on the former Bibb Mill property tract, which will have a great increase of commercial property and residential property, probably a hotel as well, that will really improve the entrance into our community along I-16 and have a new spark of urban style development on the east side, which will support property values, which will support new jobs in East Macon, and really return a lot of value to the citizens over there. There's just a lot that comes with that national park that will improve our community, but we're laying the groundwork now to be ready and really provide something that the citizens of Macon Bibb can say, we had a part in that, and we are really at the table benefiting from what those visitors are bringing us. And so we've been really excited to work with ONPPI, Bicentennial Commission, National Park Service, Mulligan Mountains Association, Visit Macon. It's, as you can find out, Macon's all about teamwork, and all of that stuff with the national park really highlights that.
Well, can't begin enough, man. I'm so appreciative because, one thing, irrespective of potential, the way potential comes to fruition is through leadership. You got to have somebody with some resources, some intellect, and what have you, to bring that potential to fruition. So you didn't create the potential, but you are bringing it to fruition, and we are you and the mayor, of course, mayor left the middle. So we are very, very appreciative of that. Of course. Now, is there a clearinghouse or somewhere where somebody can go if they want to know any additional information about any of those initiatives?
Right. So you can find everything about the Macon Action Plan on maconbibbuda.com. That's our website. All the information about the national park can be found at omulgiepark.org. That's OMPPI's website. And Pleasant Hill Neighborhood is going to be launching a new website really soon, made by one of your partners, Christelle Parham. We're really excited about that. And so that'll be launching soon. But each of these items has a website that you can go to and learn a little bit more about it. But the best way to learn about new initiatives in our community, other than subscribing to the Macon Black Pages, is being on the listserv for the Macon Bibb Hub, which our communications team at Macon Bibb puts out.
Yeah, that's correct. The hub. I'm glad you. And we'll stroll. Thanks for that plug for the Black Pages too. But we'll stroll the address and how to join the hub and the Black Pages, frankly, across the stream. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Havisham, and I'm the other Alex Havisham. But I'm the interviewer, Alex, and the interviewee, Alex, is Alex Morrison. And we just talk about all the phenomenal projects, programs, and activities that are going on in Macon. So thank you, man. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all the department does. Thanks for all that the government does. Thanks for all the partners do. We're on the move. A long time ago, you're too young for this. But the catchphrase for Macon used to be Macon on the move. Well, they can bring it back now. They can bring it back.
Absolutely.
Us is showing up on the move, man.
Yep.
This is a call to action. I'm your host. Interview Mr. Alex Morrison of UDA, amongst other things. Have a great day.
www.maconblackpages.com